this recorded to for everyone to enjoy afterwards, because what we're going to be doing today is really taking a journey together, and we're going to do that in under the umbrella of the becoming of business, because we are exploring different parts of what is indeed to become of business. And as we all know, there are businesses that are very, very large in the world, corporations, etc. And then we have those that are smaller, and we are entrepreneurs. And we are, in this case, conscious entrepreneurs who really want to make a big impact in the world. And we're all super important. And I haven't read the latest statistics, but small businesses make up a much larger part than corporate business. So that's pretty cool, you know, that we're here together and we're going to see what us small businesses, what us entrepreneurs really can do, and what kind of wisdom we can draw from the business world to make more impact. Because we see over and over how conscious people usually are the ones backing off a little bit, usually are the ones that don't really take a full step into the fullness and the greatness of their gifts. And we're going to explore what they are usually, why that is, and most importantly, what we can do to take the step beyond that. So that's why it's so important that we're recording this, being that we're going to share this on the becomingofbusiness.com website. And with me today, I have Aurora Pagonis, all the way from Australia. And she is one of, I admire her so much for the work that she's doing. And she is a true champion when it comes to inviting conscious entrepreneurs into their greatness and into that space of impact. So I'm super, super happy to have you on board today, Aurora. And we also have Jennifer Evans here, who is in the UK. And for those of you who want to know, our birthdays are July 29, 30th, and 31st. So if we're going to do this kind of teaching and exploring and learning together, why not have our birthdays one day after the other? I think that's pretty remarkable. So Jennifer, yes,
and Leos to add.
Right? It's so funny. And Jennifer is so accomplished in her corporate role, in her business role, and in her human accelerator role. And I am just absolutely honored to have you here with me. And I actually don't feel that I have you with me. I feel like we're truly here together. We are very, very synced in the way that we are lifting people up from various walks of life in business. So yeah, we are, after we're done today, what we want you to be truly walking away with, whether you're here live or whether you are listening to the recording for this, we want you to walk away with a sense of clarity, with a sense of strengthening in your purpose, to take that brave step in and feel like it's possible. We're going to be taking away some of the fear, some of the very common blocks that are in the way, and you're going to get new tools and tricks for how to really step into that greatness of yours. So that is what we're aiming for with this session. And the becoming of business, of course, is this big global business world that is still just a teenager, and we are jointly with this consciousness that we're bringing into the business world, and we're mixing it with business wisdom and entrepreneurial wisdom and male wisdom and female wisdom and you name it wisdom. But somewhere in the middle of this, we're going to find a way to listen in what it is that needs to become of business. And you guys are all super, super important parts of that. So being that all of these super huge projects always start on the inside, we're going to start on the inside also in our program, and we're going to work our way out from the inner business to the outer business, from inner wisdom to outer impact. And that is the gist of what we're doing today. But we're going to become very specific soon. And Aurora has a really great game plan for what we're doing today.
Thank you, Linda, and welcome everybody. It's beautiful to be with you all. And I do need to say that Linda is tuning in from New York in the US, and Jennifer's tuning in from England, and I'm here in Australia. So we are covering the globe. So I think we've got 7 a.m. start here. So it's morning here. It's very late evening for Jennifer, and it's afternoon for Linda. I think it's around 5 o'clock. So just getting that sense of the diversity and the wholeness already as we start to drop in. So I'm just going to share a few moments of how we're going to play together so we can just deeply relax and be with the process that we've created for you and for your exploration. So we will be starting the first section of our 90 minutes today. We're going to bring in a conversation, and the conversation is really about how each of us as conscious entrepreneurs can really lean into business wisdom. And what are some of the things that we need to cover? So Linda, myself and Jennifer will be in a conversation just to really set the scene and to actually share some ideas. We really wanted to ensure that you also moved away with your own exploration, and that this session was extremely relevant for you and for your business, and also for the people and the places that you serve. So we will be in the middle section giving you an opportunity to now go into personal reflection on some quite poignant questions where you can actually start to create a new relationship, I guess, with business, and also have a look at where you're sitting within the space of money. And we will be then moving across into a section of really starting to pull out and wean out what Linda was speaking to around how can business, when we fully embrace it in a wholesome way, enable our purpose and our mission. So I will invite you to all have paper and pen for the middle section, which is coming. And I will also let you know that after the initial conversation piece, we will be asking everyone to come onto video, because you will have an opportunity to go out into a breakout room and check in and share what you're finding and meet one of the other change makers, conscious entrepreneurs on the call. So we do ask that those two things, and I think we're ready to dive into our juicy conversation this morning. Thank you, Linda.
Thank you, Aurora. Yes, let's do it. And Jennifer, you are with us as well. And the first thing that we are going to talk about, and what we're doing here, like Aurora said, is that we are setting just a foundational piece so that we can share the wisdom that we have working with executives and entrepreneurs all the time, and bringing some of them out of real stuck into a much bigger level of freedom. Or we might be working with entrepreneurs who are just starting and they can't scale. So you can imagine everything in between there. We do that on a daily basis. That's the water that we swim around in, and we're sending out lifeboats, and we're floaties, and here's a swimming lesson. And the great thing about doing what we're doing is that we, on the one hand, become experts at what we're doing, but there's so much growth for us and ourselves, which I absolutely enjoy and love. And so we're going to share some of the things that we see that people get stuck in. So let's do that. And one of the things, and I know this is a big slide to kind of digest, but let me walk you through it. On the left hand side, with these, that starts with I don't deserve love, and it ends with I am inadequate. These are the 22, these are the 22 wounds or negative beliefs that the science of psychology, and especially psychology of relationship, have deemed as the 22 ones that keep reoccurring in relationships in our lives. And the more I've worked with these, even though they have been relationship based, the more I understand that this is applicable to everything. It's applicable to money, fame, impact, standing on stage, recognition, teams, bosses. And so we need to take a look at this. And I know that people who are listening to this are on some kind of, let's call it, spiritual journey, where we have understood that there is something that ties us together. There's a oneness, there's a big mystery of life that we're tapping into, and we are understanding more and more that we are here to serve. And as we want to serve and we aspire to serve, even though we are, some of us, very spiritual, we are also subject to having 95% of our minds actually being subconscious. And what that means is that it's programmed out of our control. Most of it is actually programmed before we're 70 years of age. And most of what we have in there are things that no longer serve us. And so we need to get frank with what it is in the wounding that comes up for us. And you might not have heard much of what I said because you're reading all the wounds, which is totally normal. But what I will say about the wounds is that, and we can read them together, is that the reason I have the fears, these are universal fears, which means that we have found, researchers, scientists have found, anthropologists have found that there are 3 universal fears. It doesn't matter where you come from, where you live, what religion, what sports team, we have 3 universal fears. And those are the fear of abandonment, and that is the same as to say a fear of not belonging, especially as we grow older. The fear of not being worthy of living. And the fear of, you might think that, well, one must be fear of death. And I'm like, no, it's worse than that. It's fear of being annihilated. It's the fear of non-existence. And so when we, as entrepreneurs, wanting to have great impact in the world, we might be very, very taken down by, let's say, the fear of not belonging, which is also actually one of the wounds that they have found, that I am different, I don't belong. And so this is why we need to take a look at, okay, how do I use my time? How do I use my words? Where do I put my feelings? Where do I put my energy? And we might find that the very contempt we have for rich people might be the thing that keeps us in the group of friends that also think that rich people are awful. And so we start paying attention to what the inner dialogue is within ourselves. And we, instead of being misdirected to hating rich people, I mean, that can sort of be there or not be there, but the misdirection has to do with understanding that before we can do anything that's cool in business, we need to be aware and heal these wounds, these fears, and find kinder truths for ourselves. And maybe a tiny kinder truth when it comes to loathing rich people is to say, wow, if I had that much money, here's what I would do. So steer it over to something that's kinder and that doesn't play into this fear of not belonging with your friends who might also share that kind of loathing. And, you know, a lot of people, as a coach, I see that a lot of people really feel that they're a fraud. It doesn't mean, it doesn't actually matter if they are on a big board or an entrepreneur just starting off. I'm a fraud comes up so often. And what I see in the conscious business space is that when we're supposed to be so darn spiritual all the time, and I'm a reverend, so I can say that, what happens then is that it's actually not in the clash of being spiritual and making money. There's actually no contradiction in that, but maybe it comes from, I am inadequate. So there are a lot of these things. So if we look at these very quickly, you know, it has so much to do with, I don't deserve things. I'm not worthy. I don't have power. I'm not in control. And a very common one for women in particular is that we have to be perfect. We have to please other people. Out of all the executive women that I work with, maybe 2 don't suffer from this. So it's a very, very small percent. And so I would really encourage you throughout this session to look at, and we can send this slide forward or share this with you somehow. If you share your email with us, we can make sure that you get this so that you can, in your reflective space, really, and the reason you're going to know what it is that you're going to feel what resonates with you. You know, there is so much to say about these points, and there's so many examples of where we steer the wrong way. We steer into disempowerment instead of into empowerment. And I have 2 rock stars with me here who know so much about where we often go wrong in our minds. And so I would absolutely love for Aurora to share any reflection and anything. We will be talking about 2 things today. One is money and the other one is scalability. And as you just hearing money and then looking at these different types of fears and wounds, you can betcha that there's a lot in your subconsciousness that comes from this. And yeah, take it away, Aurora. We're here for you.
Well, thank you for setting the scene so beautifully. And I just was listening in while you were speaking, and I know that many of us who are coming into this call live, and also those who'll be viewing, have played with a lot of these wounded places and beliefs and fears in the past in relationship to something, in relationship to ourselves, in relationship with our beloved. And the invitation for this session is for us to lean into these spaces in relationship to business. You know, in our willingness to be conscious, can we lean into business in a new way and be invited to have a look at where are we actually experiencing any resistance? And it'll live on this page. And the other big one as well, in my interest and in the place of working as a coach, and also the invitation of helping in a global prosperity movement for change makers, and the invitation of people coming through as entrepreneurs as they're starting to grow, what ends up happening is they do come across this and get the bumps along the way. So the interesting thing is that I've also noticed a split. You know, I'm stepping in with my consciousness, I'm stepping in with my mission, I'm clear on my calling, I've identified my genius. Now I'm ready to serve, and then I come up with this block. So if we can fall in love with business, if we can reframe it in a way that is in total alignment with us, if we can reframe our relationship with money, and again, see it as an energy that is serving us and the people that we are here to serve and is enabling our mission, something starts to move. And so I really want to speak into the places where we hold potential lack or we actually show up from a place of scarcity. And this can show up in so many areas, but there's not enough love, there's not enough money. It can show up in lots of different areas, but I want to specifically have each of us start to feel into what is our relationship with money. Am I in love with money? From a place of good intention, right intention. And can I actually really feel that in my body? Can I really feel that in the sense that it is time now, as change makers, as conscious entrepreneurs, to be plugged into the systems and the practices and the support. It's almost like more the masculine for me, energy, the frameworks that are now going to enable to bring what I know is my calling out into the world in the most powerful way. And recognizing that we do really need high amounts of income to have high amounts of impact. So we're really talking about this bridge from the old way of thinking and the old way of doing things, and moving into new ways of looking at business. So the importance is the alignment and the congruence also. I mean, it's one of the things that lots of conscious entrepreneurs speak into. I need to be doing things in an aligned way. And there's lots of new solutions and processes and practices that we can play with. I'm going to pass over to Jen now. I'd love to hear your thoughts and ideas, sweetheart, and we'll keep moving along.
Absolutely, thank you. It's very interesting because the way in which both of you have so beautifully and eloquently started your conversations, whilst I may be looking more on the scalability side of things, it's equally as much an inside job as it is an outside job. In fact, even more so, because people have an experience in business. I know myself, I can speak from over 18 years of running a business from a very young age. It can feel very isolating. It can feel very lonely. And even when you sometimes have many bodies around you, it's very, very hard to connect with other people on an authentic level and also a human level, because we have a perception that we have to be perfect because we're now leaders. And so one of my life purposes is redefining what leadership is. It's an inside job, and we should be focused on mastering our own mind and leading ourselves from authenticity and alignment before we start to do that with others. And it's really interesting just looking at all of those these sort of 20 triggers, as we might call them, and then also the fears that are alongside them. Well, it's really interesting that we start with money here, because guilt and shame, both of ourselves and of others, are the lowest vibration, and yet the biggest blocker to abundance and financial wealth, money, however you want to refer to that. So it's almost like we get stuck in this place of, I'm now an entrepreneur, I should be a leader, and therefore this is what I need to work on from the outside. This is the persona I should have because of all these things that are put on us in our subconscious before the age of 7, as Linda quite rightly put. And so we get into this spiral where all of these emotions that are showing up are stopping the abundance, and we know we have a purpose and we're driven for that purpose. It's why we all came here, but yet we're in our own way. And so I think what we're about to speak about between the three of us is so perfectly aligned and so divinely guided, but also comes from different angles and beautifully weaves together. So I'll be focusing on scalability because of my background. So I'm entrepreneur from the age of 16 actually, but working in corporate companies at an executive level, helping businesses scale through headhunting the right teams and then coaching and developing and redefining leadership, so creating conscious cultures. And I think money is such a significant part of that because of the things that we tell ourselves, the beliefs that we have, and how we can almost get trapped in where we are in business, both in corporate and as entrepreneurs, because of something called our self-image. And that's just a psycho-cybernetic loop that's really created before the age of 7 that keeps us into this band that we perceive that we should sit in. So I think, you know, perfect way to set things up, and I think perfectly aligned. There's lots of opportunity here for people to get involved, because we're also very open and very interested to see what other people think about our topics of discussion.
Beautiful. Go ahead, Aurora.
Jump in and name a couple of other pieces that have sort of been bubbling up as you've been speaking. And can you all hear me okay now? I know that my sound was a little bit strange. Yeah. Okay.
Perfect.
Alrighty, so I just wanted to speak into a couple of things that I noticed with our beautiful conscious entrepreneurs, things that come up for them as difficulty, and it ties straight into what you've popped up on that front screen. And one of them is they're very isolated. I know even for myself as a leadership coach, I was doing everything online. I was a global leadership coach working with women all across the globe, highly fulfilled. And yet the isolation of actually working on my own and doing everything on my own, essentially, even if I was inviting resources in. So that place of belonging becomes really important, and also that place of co-creation, you know, having each other's backs and doing it in movements and in new ways. So I feel that co-creation is a key, one of the keys of leaning in for us as entrepreneurs moving forward. The other piece that I wanted to name here is the importance now for us as entrepreneurs to not only be very clear about what's occurring on the inside and therefore becoming a resistance to our fullest expression, but there's lots of newness happening in this field. We now need to be digital experts. I mean, Linda, that was fun this morning, you know, and as much as we continue to refine that, it's not a luxury now to have digital skills. So, you know, how do we actually embrace and expand the digital footprint that we're holding? You know, the digital environment grew, it escalated 4 to 6 years just over COVID because of the new use. You know, so all these new aspects that we need to actually be successful. The other place I find as well is sometimes we haven't come into full alignment. And what I mean by that is full alignment with what's happening on the inner, but also full alignment with how we're actually expressing ourselves in our business. And so this becomes another very important thing. There were just a couple of little things that came into the mix. And I just want to present one last thing, and that is I actually feel that we have an opportunity with everything that's happening on a global scale right now, with a lot of the systems that are breaking down and the places that we're saying no to, as conscious entrepreneurs, to create a completely new paradigm. And we can actually start to call in the aspects, because entrepreneurship gives us that freedom. And so I just wanted to present that, and I know we're going to be moving to that as we go through our call today. Thank you so much.
So beautiful. Thank you both for sharing. So lovely. And I got to piggyback on this whole paradigm shift, and something that I really want you to walk away knowing today is that there have been so many things in our lives that have told us who we are, what our limits are, what we can do and what we cannot do. And I'm going to call bullshit on all of those that don't serve you today. And the reason I want to do that, and let me support that with the idea that, let's say that we have problems with sales. It's not my personality. I don't like sales. It's just not my personality to be pushy, right? Who recognized it? It's like that's something we're all guilty of, or guilty as charged. Here's the beauty. You can change your personal reality. Your personal reality is your personality. Your personal reality becomes your personality. And your personal reality, really, if we simplify it, it is made up out of your thoughts, your feelings, and your actions. Then we can add your words, your etc. But your thoughts become beliefs, and your feelings become emotions. And then you have your actions that become habits. And so the more we perpetuate the same type of personality traits, the deeper grooves we're making in our brains, and then we call it up. That's my personality. So today, this is the day when you can start choosing. You have the right to choose, and you do that choosing by starting somewhere in the wheel. For some people, it's more easy to change the way you think, and then you're going to get different feelings because of the way that you think. For other people, it's actually more natural for them to start just deciding to act differently, and then they invite in new thoughts and new feelings, and then so you can create new grooves in your brain. You can create your personality that you are interested in having as you move forward. That is the beauty of cleaning up your subconscious mind. So I wanted to really say that this paradigm shift is not just for the outside world, it's also for the inside world. So we're very soon gonna go into individual work where all of you guys are going to take out your pen and paper, or maybe you're fancy and you have the iPad or whatever it is that you write on. But before we do that, I just want to double check before Aurora takes us into this journey of you working on you, which is the best thing we do. Is there anything else that we need to presence at this point? What do you guys feel? From Jennifer or Aurora? No, I think we're pretty.
The only thing is I just want to re-presence in a solid way is to, again, invite our attention to the seemingly places that we separate, particularly when it comes to business. So I really want to presence the energies of love and money on the same page, the place of consciousness and business on the same page, the space of masculine and feminine on the same page, and the inner and the outer. So I'm presencing both of those places because, again, just to wrap up our first section, it is in relationship of those seemingly opposite energies coming together with the understanding of how we are not showing up towards one or the other because of our fears, and then being able to move through that resistance consciously to really embrace more of the whole, so that we can really enable what we're here to bring. So I just wanted to presence that before we move. And are we ready to move into our next section, my dear?
Yeah, just to echo what you were saying there, actually, Aurora, it's really interesting to hear you say love and money. It's very rarely in the same sentence, and most people who do have a challenge around the money mindset do lack that love of self and guilt and shame. And for me, leadership's the same. You have to love yourself and have enough self-love to do the inner work, to master your mind and know who you really are, to be able to become a good leader. And so we're taught to seek without and do leadership development programs and listen to somebody else's process and values and ethics and what worked for them. But actually, I think what we're all individually and collectively bringing here is that this is all an inside job, and it's going to take love of yourself and an investment in yourself to actually attract and manifest and become the thing on the outside that you're looking to do.
Perfect, beautiful. And I'm just wondering, as we start to transition into the I and the personal reflections, Linda, I'm wondering if you'd be kind enough to unshare your screen, because I would love to invite everybody just to come up on gallery so we can see each other. And here's your opportunity now to come onto video, please, because we will be going into a little visualization exercise. It's gorgeous to see so many Aussies on the call live. A shout out to Jen and Aaron and Amber and beautiful Andrew, also in New York, and Andrea, Melanie. Hello, Amber. Hi, Catalea. Gorgeous to see you all. Welcome to Larry. Love to see your faces if you can come on now or shortly. So we're just going to drop into a little visualization exercise, really starting to take what we have uncovered. Hi, Andrew. Oh, beautiful to see your faces. Marion, good morning, sweetheart. It's super early here. Thank you, ladies, for jumping on such an early call. Hi, Melanie. So we're going to drop into a little visualization, and then we're going to get an opportunity, you're going to get an opportunity to dive into some inner contemplation. And even if you've come across these questions before, I'm inviting you to actually be with them like it was the first time. Because I know for myself, playing in this way and having that inner contemplation in a safe container where we're doing it together, new opportunities and new insights become available. So the invitation for us is to have great insight, great breakthrough, and to support one another into this new paradigm, because the new paradigm is still being visioned into. We are creating it together. And so it's a beautiful, powerful invitation. And I'm going to invite you all, if you choose, and you're all on mute, so thank you so much. Just to close down the eyes or lower the gaze, we're going to do little visualization exercises to go in. I'm just going to get myself super comfortable in my chair. And Linda, I just want to hear a thumbs up. Can you hear me okay now? Yeah, beautiful. Great. Alrighty. Let's just close down the eyes, everyone. So just really allowing yourself to allow the stillness to support you to just really be completely present here now. And just acknowledging that you have absolutely given yourself this time for you, to really have an opportunity to open, to learn, to contribute, and to support you and us in that. I'm just going to invite us to take a beautiful long deep breath in through the nose. And a long sighing breath out. Allowing your shoulders to drop and your belly to soften. Really coming into the feeling of your relationship with yourself in this moment. Just feeling how it feels to be you this morning, this evening, this afternoon, wherever you find yourself in the world. And in this willingness to stop, really calling in the essence of creativity, innovation, understanding. As you start to call in your particular specific relationship with your business and with the world of business. Just firstly tune into how it feels as I speak those words. Is it a place that you can completely embrace? Or can you feel a sense of resistance? Just noticing. And as we turn and go even deeper now, in the willingness to be in relationship with your business, just getting really real, what is it that you're really struggling with in your business right now, in your entrepreneurship? What is it that you're finding difficult? Perhaps you're not able to show up, or you're resisting. You might even want to change the word business to your calling. What are we struggling with in bringing forth your calling? And what is it that you need? Just allowing yourself to receive. You may receive that clearly. You may see a symbol. Just allowing. And how does it feel for you in your relation with money? Notice how it feels in your body. And in naming how you feel in relationship to money, what belief must you hold to feel that way? Do you feel open? Do you feel closed? Just noticing. And in the witnessing of all of that, if you were able to really step into the knowing that business could enable your purpose more powerfully and support you to serve your vision on the planet, how could you now embrace that in a new way? How can business enable your project or your vision if you embrace it wholly? Allowing yourself just to continue to receive, and just in a moment I'm going to invite you, but not quite yet, to open your eyes, and Linda will shortly share a screen with the questions. I'm going to invite you just to take a few moments to journal your responses, and we're going to come back into a sharing exercise, but for now let's just stay with yourself. I'll play a little piece of music and we'll come back in just a few moments, and I'll know that you're done because I'll see you back up and ready on the screen. So we'll see you shortly. I'm going to be doing this exercise with you.
So pick up your weakness, consider your goodness. Let the past be the past, let this moment be true. When divinity is yours, then forgiveness is the healer that mends a broken heart and restores a broken dream. May your heart be the light as the mist upon the waters. May your eyes be as bright as a beacon in the dark. May your words be strong as the love that lies within them. May your life be like a game that you play before you go. There are secrets to tell, there are secrets to treasure. There are burdens to lay, to carry no more. There are messengers who come, who will guide you on your journey. If only you will listen, or if only you will hear. The old man is standing, and he's waiting for your answer. Can you find the courage now, or will you be the slave of time? The cage realizes that the door is open. So believe in your goodness and shine through your darkness, and face all your fears with a smile and the way. All the tears
Just another 30 seconds just to wrap up.
will now turn to diamonds, and every road you tread is a road that's paved with So believe in your goodness and shine through your darkness.
Okay, so just finding a way to wrap up. I'm very curious to hear what you are popping on your page, and we're going to just in a moment send you off to a breakout room so you can meet another on the call. I love how the Zoom goddess, I call her, pairs us up with exactly the right person at exactly the right time. So Linda, how many people we have? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. So let's see how we go with the pairing up. One of us might need to pair with someone. So I might just get you to start doing the breakout room setup. And would you mind just popping onto the next slide? I'm just going to share some guidelines of what we're going to do when we go into the room. So in just a moment, we're going to send you off in pairs to another room. And I'm just going to speak to a couple of things. When you're sharing your responses with the other, it's really powerful if you speak in the I, not the we or the you. So when I feel this or when I do this, it actually makes it very powerful. You'll actually have an A and a B. So when the first person's sharing, the other person is just deeply listening. It's not an invitation for a conversation. There's something powerful that happens in the witnessing. You'll each have 4 minutes to share, and we'll give you some little interchange. We might just pop over to the next slide. So once you go into your breakout room, if you can just very quickly decide who is A and who is B, and just stay in the energy of what's been coming through. The first person will speak as the other person listens, and then you'll get a moment to interchange. So you can just thank each other and change over. And then we'll call you all back into the room, and whoever feels to share a few in the group, we would love to hear. So how are you going there, Linda, with the breakout rooms, my dear? You might just come off the share screen again if you could. I'd just love to see everybody's faces before they go. Look at Andrea, she's all warmed up. It must be cold there in Melbourne this morning, my dear. Alrighty. I don't know.
So I'm just gonna assign one by one in these breakout rooms. So it'll take me about a few seconds to do that. So don't.
Linda is our Zoom goddess today. She looks like the goddess.
That's why I have the look with the things and the what have you. Oh my gosh. Oh, I have to put my sound down when I'm speaking. All right.
So we'll see you shortly. We'll send you off to the rooms. I will pop the questions into the chat box so you can check them if you need to. And we'll call you back in about 10 minutes or so once you're off to the rooms. Okay, you've got the questions in the chat. Good morning, Miss Marion. She's gone.
There we go.
Wow.
It's because I didn't I did it manually, so that's why I could just leave us here.
Perfect. Well done.
Yeah. I don't know if it's just me or is I think Aurora, you're still a little low on the
Well, I asked a
sound.
couple of people and they said they can hear me fine. Can you
No,
hear me?
Yeah.
I've
It's
got
then it's only from here. That's perfect then, because then the recording is going to have you much much more.
So I'm
Yeah.
just wondering, ladies, because we are going to be sharing this live and this is still recording, whether we just jump into the questions ourselves for a little conversation. It just helps others who'll be coming into the live and watching stay in the
Yeah,
energy.
for the recording, yeah.
Yeah, so we'll just be calling our beautiful people back at about 5 past. I'm just saying that out aloud so we remember. So I'm just going to have a look. So I'm just curious, like I love to play with this exercise anyway, you know, and what are we each struggling in our business and what do we need?
Oh my God, I filled out a whole paper here. This is my paper.
Great. Do you want to share a little bit about the essence of it? That's great.
Yeah, so I know I caught a couple of things in myself where this I can sometimes just feel, because I know so much what I need to do to keep my company healthy, and sometimes I slip into that disempowered kind of, ugh, I need to do another funnel for Facebook. You know, instead of reminding myself, oh my God, I get to serve every day. I get to help people every day. What do people right now need to hear to be uplifted, to be, you know, all the tools and what have you that I would absolutely not want to stop sharing with the world. And so, so what I wrote then is that what I need is help. I need help. I need a tech person. So anyone watching this, if you're good with Kajabi, Squarespace, etc., let me know. See?
Yes, to that too.
So, yeah, so I'll talk to Aurora more about that. And then, you know, I found that from my Swedish upbringing, where we're not supposed to think that we're special, I did find that I have this fear of being perceived as a media whore, to just cut to the chase. And there's a lot to be said about that. But what I need is to really strengthen my relationship to God and to my service. And so it was interesting to find those little nuggets in this. And this is the way it is, guys. When you do this kind of work, and we've been on the path for a very, very long time, it's like you always find new nuggets. There's always new information to go into. So, so yeah, so those were some of the things that I found. How about you, Jennifer?
very interesting as always, synchronicities, and you always just perfectly set up for me. Same thing. So I have ran fairly large businesses for, I guess, the industry that I was in. It's never been hundreds of employees, but I was running a headhunting company, an executive search company that worked at some pretty senior levels in multi-billion-pound projects around the world, mainly energy and infrastructure. So I would have a team of researchers, consultants, CFOs, PAs, and I guess having now moved out of that, where I was queen bee in the industries that I was in, and really going through quite a lot of contrast in life to wake up significantly enough to understand what it is that I'd been doing in building that and what I was really looking for. The last 3 years have been down rabbit holes of looking at who I am authentically and doing the inner work and building out the program. And now I'm missing thought diversity, because I need someone who can do the tech. I need a marketing, almost operations manager, like a COO who's got that more marketing slant. And it's really interesting because this is all personal. What I'm about to launch really is my inner journey. And yes, it's neuroscience and neurochemistry and quantum and flow and all of these things around ultimate performance. But actually, it's been born out of my whole journey of existence and awakenings. And thinking about hiring a COO into this is wow, okay. But then I know that I need it because I'm experienced and seasoned in business. But moving now into this work feels very, very different, very different. And also the money mindset. I've made millions and lost millions throughout my time. Hell of a lot of programming from a young age around finances. From my father, who I lost when I was very young. So the whole building of my business was around proving myself and being worthy. And yes, I was fairly affluent at the time, but it was never really about the money. It was about being loved. And so having done a hell of a lot of inner work, it's still very, very interesting that what's coming up on this piece of paper is still linked to those, you know, to those two things. So I had my eyes closed and realized that I'm just as much here to show up and serve and actually speak this thing into existence for one of the first times, but I'm also here to heal with all of you, because we are all one and we are all the same, and we all have fears as well. So thank you.
I love it.
Wonderful. Yeah.
I love it. And, you know, I'm going to continue on this thread, the birthday girl thread, as well as the thread of the question. I think we find it the most exciting. Like, we find that really exciting. Anyway,
Yes.
I love it because same, having grown up in a corporate environment where I had access to resources, that's a huge one for me. But the thing that started coming out on my page is I can have a pattern where I start to do too much. And so one of the reasons that I have stepped more into entrepreneurship, even though I'm still coaching and I'm still working in programs, which for the first time I'm going to be, well, it's not the first time, it's the second time I'm going to be doing with 3 others. So we're going to have that co-creation, and I'm finding that there's an ability to have each other's backs, but also bringing different genius and then employ the resources we need to. So I'm just starting that out. But I still find that I can get to a place where I'm overwhelmed and doing too much. So that's just an old pattern, you know, in terms of working. And if I'm really honest in this moment, what comes through is what's coming through is my dad. You know, my dad came to this country in the 60s from Greece on a boat to the promised land, you know, without anything. He talks about this little bag with, you know, a couple of necessities in there, and living under the harbour bridge. He tells me, I don't know if that's just true or not, but anyway, for the first couple of nights, but, you know, really started with nothing in this country. And, you know, as I was growing up, he was working 3 jobs at a time to really serve us. And, you know, had this beautiful home, and we always had more than enough. And his, you know, his work ethic was, you know, working hard to make it happen. And so that's been a continual unraveling. So I'm just noticing a little bit of that creeping in now. And I think the consciousness that I've built it has been just to really watch that and be able to, okay, you know, I've just created a goddess day once a week that I'm not getting online and I'm not doing anything. I'm not doing that well with it. The first one went really well. You know, a day during the week where I'm not online, I'm not doing things, and I'm just doing stuff for myself. So just, it's one that I continue to watch and not to move into overwhelm of too much doing. And the self-love piece. The other thing that was really interesting, I'm very comfortable financially. I live in paradise. I live in an incredible home. We have more than enough. Yes, we're restricted right now, and I do love to travel. But what I realized was I'm doing what I love. And so, you know, this idea of actually amping up my flow to ways way beyond my imagination, there's kind of like a gap around me dreaming into what will that extra stretch and that extra ability to earn, what am I going to do with it that is in alignment with my fulfillment and my service? So I actually need to see it so I can amp it up, because I'm quite comfortable. There was a place of comfortability, which is really interesting. So
we're going to have to continue this conversation between the 3 of us, because I mean, I could have taken your pages and you, but we do need to bring everybody back, and I can't wait to hear what everybody. So I hope that I'm just closing all the rooms, and I think that
close all the rooms. I'll have 60 seconds yet to come back in. And so I'll just kind of wrap this up in the next, I think it'll be really juicy to hear some of the shares in the space.
Let's do it. We're learning so much. Yeah. And thank you, Jennifer, for presencing that we are here teaching, learning, and healing.
Absolutely.
We're here healing together. So thank you for helping me heal
Andrew.
bit by bit.
And it's so interesting, you know, I know when I first started out in this work many, many years ago, I thought one day everything would be clean and shiny and done, you know. It's just welcome back, everyone.
Welcome, welcome.
Marion end up in a room. That would have been fun.
Amber and Andrea is in one room. Andrew and Aaron. Yeah, it was in alphabetical order. That's how I solved. That's how I kept organized throughout this. Welcome back, Andrew, Marion, Aaron, Andrea. Is that Kana or Kana?
Kanalea.
Kanalea, love it. Well, I think you're in the
And
win
she's
for the coolest name. Could be.
So are we all back?
Your tech guy is saying, sure. Yes.
Excellent.
It seems like they're closed, the breakout rooms.
So we've had, thank you, Linda. Linda, Jennifer and I continued and stayed with the questions, and we had some really beautiful insights and openings and also similarities. So I just love to open the space for a couple of shares. Just the essence of what you sort of discovered and what you what came up for you in your sharing in the breakout room. So I'm just going to open the space for that. And of course, Jennifer and Linda, you're also welcome to jump in and share what you discovered as well, because it was quite powerful.
Who feels like sharing? Anyone who feels like sharing any of the discoveries that you made? Amber, is Joy your last name or is it a middle name?
It's actually my middle name, but I'm seriously thinking about changing it to my surname because I don't identify with that anymore.
How beautiful. What a great process. Yeah, Amber Joy, that's plenty.
I feel that it's who I am. It was funny, I went to a healer a few years ago, and he said he sort of read my soul, and he said to me that the answer, you already know the answer, it is within you. And instantly, it was actually a 3-month-old me came to me and said, it's hidden in plain sight. And then I realized it's actually, yes, it is hidden in plain sight. It's my middle name.
How gorgeous. Amber, are you feeling to share what came through for you, sweetheart, while you're on?
Yeah, when we were doing the meditation part, an inner burning just came up and, you know, exploded up through my head. So for me, that tells me this is what I'm meant to be doing. It is my calling. Through the money part and everything, there was a gurgling and a rumbling deep within. So I think there's still a bit of a shift to happen, as much as I feel that a great shift has already happened and I'm beginning to have a better relationship and feeling more comfortable with that. I actually think because when I was 8, my appendix burst and essentially, you know, I didn't feel that I was coming back. So there's a lot of, you know, the belief systems between 0 and 7. I actually feel there's a bit of a disconnection for me there. I don't feel whole and complete. So I think there's a lot of something just missing at the moment, but, you know, we'll call her back. I need all of me, you know, I need every single part of me to do this. And I was saying to Andrea, you know, I have to do this. It's my calling. It's urging me, because my boys were diagnosed with autism 15, 16 years ago. So we've been on a journey since then, a big journey. And I've put myself through uni and everything to, you know, to understand this. It started off as the mainstream narrative, And I'm thinking, this is not working for me. This is wrong. And I flipped and I went down the natural therapies lane. And I went and put myself through school for natural therapies and this whole journey of mind, body, spirit. And this is my calling, to help other families do the same. I'm seeing so many children and families being destroyed, essentially, you know, and I've worked with children. I've been, you know, Cub Scout leader and a youth group leader and all that stuff. And it is the children. Our children are our future. And if we don't help them heal now, the world could be quite an ugly place in the future. And that's not the future I see. I see, you know, a world of love, healing, happiness, joy. It's all our birthright. And this is why I need a lot of money. You know, I have a big vision and a lot of work to do. And it's my calling. So it's not my job. It's just what I want to do for the rest of my life. Help other people and heal their families, help them heal themselves.
So beautiful, Amber. And I just want to reflect on a couple of things back, if I could. And the first thing, I just want to reflect back the certainty that I can hear in you, the certainty around what you're here to bring, and the certainty of backing yourself. And I also just really want to acknowledge the parts of you that are sort of you've brought into awareness that needs some support and some love as well. Jennifer and Linda, Amber's part of the WAY, the Global Prosperity Movement for Change Makers and Visionary Leaders. She stepped into this new whole system that we've co-created with others, and it's just been really a pleasure to watch her find her way of being able to express her vision and her path. So I don't know if there's any other reflections or comments from Linda or Jennifer for Amber specifically. I'm just going to open up for another share. Thank you so much.
Well, thank you for sharing, because I felt your energy in my chest. It was, I can feel that it's been a challenging journey for you, but I also feel how powerfully aligned you are to your purpose right now. And that's where the magic is going to be. So get super clear on what your values are. And I don't mean social idealisms. If it's a should to, a have to, a got to, need to, they're not yours. And you need to send that energy away. But get super clear on what is it that people don't have to ask you to do? What are the things that we all have a subconscious value system, almost like a GPS system inside of us. And whether we like it or we don't like it, 95 to 99% of what that GPS system does is going to be to fulfill our highest values, whether we know them or not. So if you can identify what your values are and then do a linking exercise of how those values link to your purpose and how that purpose fulfills those values, it's a two-way linking exercise. What you start to do is to program the brain to seek out opportunities and things that are already fulfilling your value system, but now it's bigger because you're achieving your purpose. And it's just a very simple mind hack, but I can feel that you're there from a heart center perspective. Now you've just got to do the stuff that rewires the brain to get you to the next part. And you're so close to that. I think it's just going to be a bit more investment in you. Stop looking outside necessarily at the change you're going to make just at the moment, and do that little bit for you, because when you're overflowing, honestly, what you can give to the world is exponential. And I believe in you as well.
Thank you so much.
Oh, how beautiful. Thank you. Thank you, Jennifer. Thank you, Amber. I'm just wondering if we've got time for one other quick share. Is there somebody else who'd like to share? Andrea, Marion, Canalea, Andrea? Okay, that's great. Sometimes we need to be invited, don't we? Thank you, Andrea.
Yes, I'm still in my pajamas. As you know, Aurora, I'm just at the start of this amazing future. And my last 6 weeks have been absolutely mind-boggling and mind-blowing in the way that I have learned so much. I have learned to allow myself to have a vision. I have learned to allow myself to have an income. but it has been also a very painful process. And I think for me, the center process is my whole relationship with money, and which I don't have a great relationship to. And for me to be able to, build my healthy villages, eventually I have to come to a whole me. I have to accept my whole entire, whatever it is that is me. And I have put myself away for almost 20 years, and I'm just rediscovering myself. And there is a little bit of, oh my gosh, I don't have another 50 years anymore because, just because. And I know that I need a bit of time, but then I want to reach it right now and right here, because I'm so excited about what's actually opening up. But then I also know that's not possible either. So overall, I've decided to really sit with the entire process, and will do my my very best to really allow things to happen. And even all the darkness that comes out, I will work through it, because then I know I can really do whatever I want to do at the end. And that's the first time in my life that I really believe that. That's it.
Amazing. Again, it's just so obvious your deep dedication. And Andrea is also part of the Global Prosperity Movement that we've created, and both have been on a specific path in terms of the inner work, as well as, how do I apply myself to start creating the spaces and the containers to be able to call in the people who believe what I believe and to be able to serve. And I just wanted, because I get a chance to play with Andrea all the time, just wondering if Jen or Linda had a comment for Andrea, and then we'll move into the next section. Thank you so much, Andrea.
Well, I want to double click on a very important word that Andrea used, I think 3 times, which is allowing. She has allowed herself to make money. She has and working on allowing other things to come in. This is actually one of the key ingredients in flow, is to be in a state of receiving and allowing things to come to you. We have been brought up thinking that we need to swim upstream. And what you do as you are just allowing things to come is to realize that the real pot of gold is downstream. So I wanted to just highlight that as inspiration for everybody, and including myself. This is about allowing the expansion of what I do also. So we're very much in this on this path together. So beautiful.
And that really feels like another aspect of the new paradigm of business. In terms of, in the old paradigm, we were in the push, and let's make it happen, and let's strive, and let's, and it's exhausting. And it's even particularly exhausting for women. And so this natural tendency of being in the reciprocity, in the allowing, in the opening, is a completely different posture. And I think we're all rewiring in that somehow. I know that in the places that I play, in the co-creations and the movements, we're all experiencing that in a new way. So thank you for, Andrea, bringing that forward through your story and your experience, and Linda for sharing that. And I'm going to pass over to Linda and Jennifer now as we move towards our last section, and not too far away from close, actually. So
time flies when we're having fun. And this is still happening under a project that's called The Becoming of Business. And what we would love to do in closing is to look at some of that becoming. What do you say, Jennifer?
Absolutely. So co-creating's come up on a number of occasions, and it's because we are so divinely guided to one another. It's so important that we conversational intelligence, that we're communicating, but most importantly we're co-creating. And to do that, we have to feel psychologically safe, to trust, and that starts also with ourselves. It seems to be the theme of the whole entire evening, really, that, you know, nobody can give us psychological safety. We have to create that ourselves, and we have to trust that what shows up and the ideas that we come out with, that we're going to be able to contribute, and that's also inner work. And so for us, we wouldn't have been able to share this message with you if we hadn't have come together to co-create, and this space is about inviting you to do the same. So I'm really keen to understand and know, is there anything that has sparked your intuition, or anything that we've said from this evening that you believe would be fundamental in the becoming of business in the new world? I'd very much like to hear your thoughts, if there's anyone that would like to share.
So really what we're doing then, if you need another stage setter, is that we have been looking at the paradigm shift within ourselves that's necessary to make changes on the outside. And being that we've gone through some shifting ourselves tonight, or in the morning, or wherever you are when you're listening to this, those shifts could possibly also be translated onto a much bigger platform, all the way out to the global business world, which is, by the way, the biggest social platform that we have in the world. So this is an important platform to talk about and to infuse with the wisdom and insights that we get along the way as we are doing our personal work. So does that prompt anyone to share anything? And it could be as simple and as awesome as just voicing a wish for business moving forward. Where would you like to see that business has become? What has it become down the road, or even tomorrow? If you could really just snap your fingers and say, here we are. Is there anything that pops up in this space of becoming? One thing that I was reflecting on is that I wonder if any of this is possible in terms of a global transformation if we don't allow more people to do the inner work. Is that something that resonates with you guys? But somehow it still needs to start there. And how do we facilitate that on a larger scale? How do we show up differently as bosses? You know, if we understand that there needs to be a shift on the inside before we can have a kind of harmonious relationship in business. It might be also harmonious with the planet. So let's see here if we can unmute Marion. Did you want to come into the space?
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you. I'm on a walk in nature so this morning. I think for me, what I'd like to see that business develops a heart and actually acknowledges the power of using your intuition and that inner guidance, instead of always everything just being you are equal to $1. So the value of people, the value of the heart in the business, and also the value of leading by intuition and not always just logic. Because, you know, as I was saying to Canalea, if you're on a spiritual path, if you're on a business path, either one of those paths, you're divinely prosperous. There's no spiritual poverty anymore. That's part of the old paradigm and part of the old programming. And they can't exist in our future. And as soon as the consciousness of humanity can have a great shift, and I'm cheering for that, especially in Australia, then I can see that it starts with us. We're the change. So for business to change, our whole attitude has to change first. So that's what I just wanted to share on my walk this morning. Thank you.
That's so beautiful. Thank you. Yes, I've written these things down now. It's going into the collected wisdom of the becoming of business, which is a global platform for what indeed we can serve the business community with in terms of guidelines and ideas for how to make this much more functioning, thriving world, and to be real frank, to still be here in 100 years. And I'm not talking about me personally, but the world as we know it. The planet will be fine, humanity, perhaps not so much. What do you say, Aurora?
Yeah, I just wanted to reflect on the invitation to sort of sit with how can we invite business, and that extension then becomes how do we invite leaders in business to hold the openness and the recognition that all of us need to be continually looking within. And, you know, my experience of playing in that space, I've had the privilege, I guess, to meet a number of conscious CEOs who are working in very traditional businesses. I'm thinking of one in particular that's coming into my understanding now, who owns a digital marketing agency and serves a lot of the large corporates. Because of his consciousness and his recognition of the importance, he invited me to come in and play with his leadership team to really start to help them understand that who they were being was creating their reality more so than what they were doing. You know, that inside out approach, and really getting into some of the spaces and places we're speaking to now. And yet what I'm also aware of, it's going to take a new consciousness for us as a whole of business to actually recognize that we need to go there. So, you know, the place is when we're in the old consciousness, where is the recognition going to come for us to make that bridge? And so for many of us as change makers and conscious entrepreneurs, whilst our impact may seem small because we're working as individuals, and if we're lucky and privileged, we're now working in movements where we start to have an amplification of, you know, output, I guess, and an amplification of impact. How do we make that happen? And is it the place of, you know, sometimes it feels like pulling the old dinosaur, and I bet you both feel this, pulling the old dinosaur through the mud to take him to the watering hole. And yet there's this uprising of these conscious entrepreneurs, the people who are on this screen, the people who are going to come to our lives, who are already embodying these new qualities and have the willingness. So I feel like we're going to have a different balance show up in business. You know, a rising of entrepreneurs, a rising of conscious entrepreneurs, and something new is going to have to happen because the old way is rumbling. So I haven't answered the question directly, but I just wanted to bring presence to the old consciousness and the new consciousness, and the difficulty of making that bridge when they're still quite separate. And I'm curious if anybody else has something to add to that. And Kanalea, I'm looking at you, beautiful girl. I don't know if you've got something you'd like to share.
Thank you, Aurora and Linda and Jennifer, for such an eloquent, inspiring and all-encompassing experience today, and everyone who's here present as well. So I run a social impact agency called Global Impact Group, and I'm very lucky to be privy to more of a macro perspective, as well as a very interpersonal, very deeply shamanic indigenous experience of how to relate to the energetics that we call business or conscious enterprise, or how we're all growing together. There's about 800 to 1,200 cutting edge, the leading edge organizations, CEOs, custodians, influencers, movements that are all part of this interconnected global evolutionary anchoring of what this means to live as a 21st century conscious community and society. So my invitation would be to dream really deeply big and broad, and yet personal equally, and really to surrender to that dance between seemingly how it's oh, am I here? Yeah, I'm back. Seemingly how it could feel distinctly different, and yet it's in the center that I find my peace. But the distinction between the stretch between the global and the local, and the macro and the personal, and the social and the cultural, and all of it in between. So I'd love to preface this in that this is truly our times that we've been preparing for. And so our work that we're doing individually is so interrelated to the macro systems that are being shuffled right now and are very, very attuned to new systems to being co-created and anchored. And one of them I'd love to suggest, if anyone knows about the Mondragon cooperative movement, M-O-N Dragon, D-R-A-G-O-N. It's one of the most successful cooperative movements in the world, and it's been growing over the last decades. And it's a multi-billion-dollar cooperative movement made up of a number of 100 of different cooperative businesses that they've co-created in Spain. So that's one of, I would say, one of the most successful case studies of conscious entrepreneurship whilst respecting personal sovereignty and expression and yet being a formidable movement. So I'd love to suggest you look into that if you feel inspired to, and keep being you. You're each amazing, and I'm very grateful and privileged to be here today. So thank you, thank you, thank you.
Kanalea, wow. Thank you for your share into this space and for your energy. We will most definitely check this Mondragon, as we would say here in America, out and see what that is. And I think that there needs to be much higher skill level, not only when it comes to how the mind works, which is definitely one of the better ways to start with the inner business, which happens to be the name of the book I wrote. There is something else brewing that's much, much bigger. And thank God for science, you know, that we have made such leaps of enormous proportions, especially when it comes to quantum mechanics. And so in the understanding of quantum mechanics, which is very much the basis of the teaching that I do with a system that I've founded called mindfulness intelligence. And I do use mindfulness, but the quantum intelligence that we all are capable of tapping into, and that we're actually all a victim of every day, because everything that's created is first in the quantum field. And don't get me started too much on quantum, because I will not shut up. So I'll keep this brief. What I, in this particular context, what would be great for conscious entrepreneurs to know is that the way that we communicate with the quantum field and make things happen is through the electromagnetic field. Now, our clarity of mind is the electro, and the emotions that we have in our hearts is the magnetism of electromagnetic. So what happens with a lot of conscious entrepreneurs is that they're magnets, and they're feeling, and I'm pulled towards this, and I'm drawn to that, and we're vibing each other in, and there's this just magnetism around a lot of conscious people. But they don't really get that clarity and the tools and some of the in the electromagnetic communication with the quantum field. Now, there's always an option, and that is to keep on pushing in the three-dimensional world. That's fine. It's just that we're running out of time. Amber Joy and Andrea, I think one of you guys were saying something. Oh, it was Andrea who was saying, I don't think I have 50 years, you know. So one thing that I usually do in my coaching is that I have people who live too much in their heads, too much in the clarity and the goal setting and the chop, chop, chop. And I actually need to take them on that longest journey down to their heart. So there's magnetism going with the the electric field, if that makes sense, yeah? Whereas a lot of you guys, you're starting with really strong magnetic, and you need to also incorporate so that we get the coherence between the heart and the brain. And so I wanted to bring that into the space, maybe as we're starting to kind of wrap up, that you guys are actually coming from a better space, an easier place, than for people who for the first time need to drop into their hearts. That's a really hard journey for a lot of people, but we're there already. Let's find that coherence. And it's not a balance. It's not like equal measure, 1 cup of this and 1 cup of that, but it's a balance. It's an interplay. It's harmony between the two. And of course, there's so much to say about the electro, which is your brain, but we're going to have to save that for another day. But I wanted to bring that into the space to encourage you that you're starting from a really, really good space. And if you can really find what it is that is standing in your way when it comes to the money, the resources, the visibility, the impact, all those things that we might have those, no, who am I to? Just find a kinder truth. And with that, you're going to have the clarity that we talked about in the beginning to really step into that greatness and to use your purpose. And yeah, you're going to be surrounded by new forces, new power, and people will come to your aid. If you have the electromagnetic frequency that is actually matching. So you have the intention, clarity of thought, and you have the elevated emotion, you will start saying things like, out of the blue, I don't, just out of the blue, this happened. It's such a weird coincidence, out of nowhere. And you will have people and opportunities. So as you're doing this work, also be observant of what's going on, because you're going to have so many more gifts coming your way just with the clearing that we've done today. And that goes for every single one of you. So with that, Aurora and beautiful Jennifer, beautiful Aurora, what is there anything else that needs to be put into this space? And for, of course, from everybody who's joined, if there's anything that you want to say in closing, don't forget to put in the your email address if you want this recording and some other goodies from us.
Yeah, I guess sorry, go.
I was going to say, you've just jumped into quantum and the brain just as we're about to jump off, which is just a tease to me. So I think we may have to jump on and do a live or something just to cover that area, because that's the part that super excites me too.
And knowing that I would absolutely love to continue the conversation, both here in the live with everybody who's been here, but also those who's coming. Linda, I'm just wondering if you'd like to just quickly show up the slide of how people can contact us before we're going into the close. Again, I want to thank everybody who's come up, for many of you, very early morning. So thank you for being with us. And just a shout out to Andrew. Beautiful to see you on the call as well. I don't know if you can hear. And there's a place of being able to contact us. And I feel very complete. I feel very privileged to be co-creating with Linda and Jennifer for the first time today. So thank you for all your love and all of your wisdom, and for each of you, because we have co-created this field. So I have a little piece of poetry to read when we're ready. Is there any other closing comments, or are we ready to say thank you until next time we see one another? Yeah? Okay. So I just wanted to finish with a very short yet powerful piece that really ignites the place of my why and why I move forward with my gifts and my voice every single day. And I have a sense it'll also touch your heart. So it's 3:23 in the morning and I'm awake because my great-great-grandchildren won't let me sleep. My great-great-grandchildren ask me in dreams, what did you do while the planet was plundered? What did you do when the earth was unraveling? Surely you did something when the Caesars started failing. as the mammals, reptiles, and birds were all dying? Did you fill the streets with protest when democracy was stolen? What did you do once you knew? So I'm going to leave you with that reflection, with a deep thank you. And, you know, in our becoming, in our personal becoming, and in our willingness to support the becoming of business, then we're enabled to be in that place of doing. And so I just wanted to say thank you to each of you as I pass back on to Linda to close us off.
All that's left to say is a deep bow and a deep thank you to everybody who showed up here and whoever's listening back to this recording. Your time is now as well. And I think that with all the teasers that have been thrown out here, we do need to have a follow-up on this. So I'll take you up on that, Jennifer, for later. Please contact us if you need any help, if you're stuck, if you need inspiration or guidance. We are here for you. So thank you so much.
Many blessings. Bye, everyone.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.